Welcome. Look at all these faces out there. Welcome to the Westside Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Chris Darnell, and it is my great joy to be gathering with you on this In-Gathering Sunday with other members of the worship team. We got Liz Bucklew, Ann Fox, Lisa Reisitz, and we got Rick Taylor right there. Scott Farrell, John Hansen, and Larry Jones are providing music, and today marks the triumphant return of the Westside Chorale. Look at that. And I heard them practicing earlier, so hold on to your pews. You're about to get blown away. Lisa Maynard is lighting our chalice, and Liz is going to be sharing our time for all ages. Henry Sikora and Nate Mesnard are our tech experts, bringing in the sanctuary together for all those joining virtually. And for the gifts of these folks, we are grateful. It is a blessing to be able to worship together and to be here with all of you today. Just a couple friendly reminders that the nursery is open. Oh my gosh, what? I feel like it's been forever since it's been open. And I believe it's for ages 4. I knew that. Also, we got Jonathan Rawl, who will be taking some pictures of the Westside Chorale. So if you see someone going around taking pictures, that's who that person is. It's all on the up and up. If you are with us for the first time or the first time in a while, welcome. We're so glad that you are here to share in this time, to make some space in your life to attend to your heart and your spirit, to come together in community. Please visit our website or scan the QR code in the pews to fill a Getting to Know You welcome form so that we can send you our weekly electronic newsletter, the Westside Week, which is full of information about upcoming worship services as well as congregational activities taking place both in person and remotely. Today is our special day of regathering. So immediately after the service, we will be celebrating this homecoming with a picnic in the parking lot featuring refreshments, lots of good conversation, and music from the Westside Strummers. I hope to see you there, because you definitely will see my kids down there. We gather today from many locations, and we take this moment to particularly acknowledge that our congregation resides on the traditional territory of the Duwamish people. In this acknowledgement, we recognize the Duwamish heritage imbued in the mountains, valleys, waterways, and shorelines that surround us all, in which we can see so vividly from our parking lot most days. May we nurture our relationships with the coastal Salish neighbors, especially the Duwamish people, and our shared responsibilities to this place. Let us take a moment to offer our humble respect for this place and its peoples, and our renewed commitments to the work of authentic reconciliation. Whoever you are, wherever you have come from, whatever the color of your skin, whoever and however you love, however your body moves and your brain works, however you identify, you are welcome in this faith community. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition has no test of faith, no creed or oath to swear. We have instead the promises we make to one another, commitments we make to healing a hurting world, within and beyond our walls. We have a very special theme for today. The theme is homecoming. Amidst all the motion and emotion of our daily lives, we seek places that ground us, a place that we call home. This could be a physical environment, a relationship, a realm of the imagination, a spiritual cradle, a sanctuary. As our Westside congregation regathers to begin another church year, we reflect on and celebrate the many ways that our community helps us create and regain a sense of place, a home in which we find each other and journey to new understandings. As we are once again able to gather in person, Today's service marks the return of our water ceremony to commemorate our coming back together. And in that, each time we gather is an opportunity to remember that Westside's highest values are centered on welcoming and hospitality. Let's take a few moments to greet those around you in any way that feels safe. A smile, a wave, a text, or even a little elbow bump.
Means nothing.
In each week's service, we invite a member of our congregation to light the chalice of our shared Unitarian Universalist faith, which represents our beacon of hope and our call to action in the cause of justice. Today, our chalice lighter is Lisa Maynard. We have asked our chalice lighters to respond to the question, what gives you hope?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I can easily feel despair when I think about the climate and politics and our unfair economy. How some children never even have a chance to thrive. But I'm fundamentally an optimistic person, and I've read that hope is a muscle that you need to exercise. So I was glad to have this opportunity. One place that I find hope is in the resilience of the human spirit. I like reading the Facebook group Humans of New York, where the photographer Brandon Stanton interviews people he meets on the street and tells their stories, sometimes just a tiny vignette that brings forward their uniqueness and their charm, and sometimes a longer series about really tough things they experienced and how they persisted and grew anyway, or how a teacher or mentor lifted them up. The stories are moving and hopeful. And then I read some of the comments where thousands of people are responding with empathy. And it lifts me up again. It's easy to be cynical, but life is short. And it just feels better to try to believe that humans can care for each other and create a community where we can all get our basic needs met. Westside is a good place for me to practice being in that kind of community.
Our Chalice Lighting words are by Katie Gelfand. We light this chalice as a symbol of reunion. We reunite in this sanctuary to share the flow of our hearts with one another. We gather together in ritual to celebrate our fountains of joy, to hold each other through storms of grief, to guide one another through rapids of transformation, to rest together on ponds of stillness. Together we honor the spirit of water in its many forms and its life-giving essence. As Lisa lights our chalice, please join me in speaking the words of our congregation's affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship. Thus do we cover with one another.
Good morning, everyone. It is so lovely to see you, all of you, and all of you out there as well. Many UU congregations have a water ceremony as part of the rituals of their worship experiences, usually at the beginning of the new church year after the end of summer. Westside has not been able to do this in person on a Sunday since 2019, and it is such a joy to bring it back to us today. The water ceremony that invites people to contribute water to a common bowl has its origins in the work of two UU women, Carolyn McDade, who's the author of several of our treasured hymns, including Spirit of Life, and Lucille Shuck Longview, who were asked to create a worship service for the Women and Religion Continental Convocation of Unitarian Universalists in 1980. This organization had been instrumental in pressing for the removal of male-centered language in all UU institutions and publications, including the hymnals, and advocating for full inclusion of women in religious and lay leadership. The ritual they called the water communion emerged from this creative and spiritual activism. They said, "Water is more than simply a metaphor. It is elemental and primary, calling forth feelings of awe and reverence. Acknowledging that the ocean is considered by many to be the place from which all life on our planet came, it is the womb of life, and that amniotic waters surround each of us prenatally, we now realize that this ritual was for us a new story of creation. We chose water as our symbol of empowerment." And so too, our water ceremony at Westside is a symbol of the power of community as we re-find each other across the gaps of time and enforced distance to recreate our home here.
Hello, everyone. So I am up here to tell you how this water ceremony is going to work. At the table up front, there are two bowls to which you may come down and offer your water. You'll be invited to approach from the side aisles, being mindful of the physical spacing preferred by those around you. After you contribute your water, please return to your seat by the center aisle. As you'll note, if you did not bring any water, we have some pitchers here to stand in as representative water for water you might have not brought today. But before we do all of that, with the ringing of the first bell, let's take a couple of minutes to contemplate what has transpired in our lives since we were last able to be together in this way. How it feels to be here now, what hopes you have for the year to come. You received a card from the greeters, or I hope you did. when you arrived, on which you can write down any of those thoughts, and also, if you wish, where your water comes from, what that water means to you. You can put your card in the basket on the front table when you come forward. Then, when the bell rings again, please come to the table and listen for the sound of the waters joining. I invite you now to come up to the water table.
These words are from Mel Hoover and Rose Eatington. Water unites us. All water is one water, shape-shifting as it goes on in its unending cycle. The stream we gather by unites us with all the waters of the world, for all life depends on water. That's why this common, everyday element on which our very lives depend is sacred. In our thankfulness for water, let us remember to honor, cherish, and care for it, for our own lives, for all life touched by water, and for those who come after us.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing your water and your spirit with us all. I'd like to take a moment here to acknowledge our wonderful new risers that we, as the Westside Chorale, are officially inaugurating this morning. You'll have a chance to do more of that in a second. I want to first of all thank John Monahan for the design and implementation of the choral seating that served us so well for so many years. When we made the decision to move to something with more flexibility of use, the incredible Jim Schlau stepped forward and created a number of expert designs and models. After we had decided upon the design you see before you now, Jim went into high gear and completed everything you see here to meet a deadline of what we expected to be a return to in-person services in the sanctuary last December. Unfortunately, as we all know, that return did not occur at that time. Now we are here. And I thought that this in-gathering service would be the perfect time to acknowledge Jim and how thankful we all are for his contribution of time and talent. Jim, would you please stand? Yay! Thanks to Jim and to everyone who helped remove the previous seating and install the new platforms. We love how perfectly they are working for us. And now, please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, hymn number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. As a reminder, we encourage you to sing along softly behind your masks.
Thank you to Scott and the Westside Chorale. The thrilling sounds that are coming here. It is now our time for all ages, and Liz Buck will be sharing today's story, the water story. You all know what to do, right? Come see Liz.
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Henry. Hey, Harper. Well, as you can see, we've been talking a lot about water today, and I thought we would have a conversation about water too. I don't have any pictures for you, so I just invite you to make the pictures in your head. Close your eyes, listen, and imagine. It's hot, and the midday sun beats down on your head. You're walking down a street with lots of houses. You're feeling hotter and hotter. Your skin feels sticky and clammy, and your cheeks burn red. Sweat rolls down your forehead and into your eyes, and beads on your upper lip, tasting salty like the ocean. Shimmering hot air rises from the footpath, and you struggle to pick up your feet. One after another, you drag yourself through the thick, hot oven air. As you slowly pass house after house, you notice the brown and crunchy grass looks tired, exhausted, and thirsty, just like you. It's so hot and dry. You wish for a big gulp of cool, refreshing water. It hasn't rained in such a long time. Can you even remember what rain feels like? As you turn the corner, giant spruce and hemlock trees loom over you. Their huge branches offer cool shade from the sun's harsh rays. Stepping under the trees, you hear and see a small creek trickling and spilling over smooth rocks. You feel the cool air coming off the water, and it looks so inviting. You feel the temperature change and instant relief. It's amazing. Your body begins to feel cool. The air feels lighter. And best of all, you start to feel better. Beside the little stream are tables, chairs, and benches where people often stop to sit and chat to escape the summer's heat. You sit down, lean back, close your eyes, and hear the water. Splish, splash, sploosh. You hear the little birds tweet as they flit from the bushes to the creek and splash as they land for a quick sip and dip. You hear the cheerful chatter of people. You relax even more and remind yourself of how our weather changes. We have very dry summers here in Washington. Sometimes we have enough water, which can make you feel good. And sometimes we don't, which can make you feel sad. Think about how important water is for everyone and everything. We thank water for being a friend to the trees, birds, people, and you, and for helping to make this place so special, cool, and green. Thank you. Back to their seats, because you're going to stay here with us. Thank you for listening.
In a moment, we will engage in a collective act of generosity, known as our offering, when we take time to actively support Westside UU and its many ministries with our gifts by text, check, or cash. Each month, we choose a community organization to share 1/3 of our undesignated offering gifts. That is, those donations not designated as your pledge contributions. For the month of September, our community giving recipient is Southwest Youth and Family Services. Because our Sunday worship schedule has switched to twice monthly while we navigate the next steps in our professional ministry, there are fewer opportunities to extend our generosity to our community partners. Please consider increasing your contribution in each service so we can continue to advance and support the work of these worthy organizations. Southwest Youth and Family Services works to remove barriers to our community's success and sustainability caused by systemic and economic inequities. Through this commitment, SWYFS has become a leading resource for low-income and vulnerable children, youth, and families, supporting more than 2,000 individuals annually with holistic wraparound services in the areas of education, youth development, behavioral health, and family advocacy. Even if we don't have the services, we will refer to ensure that families get what they need to succeed, says the agency. You can give by text by sending a message with the $ and the amount you want to give to 616-404-4171. If you need to update your payment information, text update to that same number. For folks here in the sanctuary who prefer to share your gifts by cash or check, the greeters will move among us shortly. If you'd like your gift to be recorded as coming from you, please use one of the envelopes in the pews. And now join us for the gift of music.
Together hand in hand,
Thank you, everyone, for your generosity, this giving to our congregation, this giving to our community partners. Thank you for giving as you are able. Your generosity of time, treasure, and presence are gifts that sustain us as a community. Each week we come together as a congregation in as many ways that we can to connect and share that which matters most to us. At this time we make collective space for holding our joys and sorrows. One of my joys today is looking out and seeing people I don't know. There are people new today, coming back after a long way away. That is such a joy. That is such a joy. And probably you all met each other during the greeting. That's great. I look forward to meeting some faces I don't know out at the picnic. We're also aware there are folks that for many reasons can't be with us today, not the least of which is the most immediate smoke conditions, which is inhibiting people being able to be outside, but lots of reasons. And thinking about the complexities of life that shape the decisions we make about what we can and cannot do and how we can and can't connect all the time. Holding the challenge of that, sometimes the sorrow of that. We know there are people who are currently living with really serious health conditions, some of whom are in this room, some of whom can't be here, who are living with it and thriving, and in no small part, I know from some of them, buoyed up by the care of this community. And much gratitude to Chris Darnell, who at the last moment is stepping in with his homecoming reflection.
So I don't have this scripted, but you know me, sometimes I do better when I don't have it written down. So I woke up at 4:30 this morning. Had to wake up early because I needed to take my partner to the airport. You know her as Christina Darnell. She was the board president. She's a current board member, and she's a singer extraordinaire. She would love to be up here today. But I needed to take her to the airport because she needs to go home to support her mother, whose cancer has returned. She's been struggling with it, and now she needs to go back. And so that is a sorrow that I have. Today also commemorates the 15-year anniversary of Christina's father passing away from cancer as well. And then 21 years ago today, many of us were either woken up or followed along on the radio as we heard about a small engine plane that might have flown into a building in New York City. And the story grew and grew and grew until it was actually televised. We saw it in real time, and we still live with those images. And that sort of brings me back to how we celebrate homecoming. I think of all those individuals that go back after such an event occurs. People who go back to support their loved ones. Christina's having her own homecoming today, and it's not a positive thing. They're not always positive. Or going back to bury a loved one. Those sorrows that sit with us. But the good thing is sometimes that sorrow brings us so much more. As Lisa mentioned earlier, resilience. We become resilient. We become stronger. One thing that happened after September 11th in the little hometown that Christina's going back to is Canton. They ran a 5-year anniversary of 9/11, and they said, remembering 9/22. God, I love small town journalism. Even when they try their hardest, we still make errors. Just like us, we're all human, right? It was always a sort of a joke between her father and myself and everyone in the town, remembering 9/22. So when Christina's father passed away, when they posted his obituary, they said, remembering Bob who passed away on 9/22. We build such resiliency as individuals. And we have to remember that not everyone has a homecoming that's positive. I think of the people who returned back to New York City after 9/11. I'm thinking of all the individuals from Ukraine who are waiting for their own homecoming. But I hope that we can stand together and take this time for our homecoming to be able to come together and enjoy while we can, even if it doesn't always feel like a blessing, because sometimes it doesn't. But that is us being resilient and coming together and doing what we know is right for ourselves and right for this community.
Thank you so much, Chris. I want to say as well what a joy it is that this team, the worship team, is doing this together for you, for us. This has been an interesting journey in the realm of worship life. It continues to be interesting and rich and sustained, and we know that you are with us as we are with you, and thank you, and thank you. So now, in a moment of silence followed by music, let us hold in the tender vessel of our loving care all the joys and sorrows, both known and unknown, of our beloved community. Let us also extend our compassion to lift up and honor the lives of our neighbors and our wider community. Would you now join me in a minute of silence in commemoration of 9/11/2001 and the ripples that continue to be felt and felt and felt. For our time of meditation today, I'd like to offer a favorite poem of mine by the UU minister Kenneth Collier, which was published in this lovely little book, Our 7 Principles in Story and Verse, a collection for children and adults. I go back to it over and over again. But this poem will always remind me of the Westside Coming of Age overnight a number of years ago with 4 of our youths and 2 other mentors as we created a temporary home in the woods for our spiritual explorations together. So I invite you to relax your body, close your eyes if you wish. Let the images come into your mind's eye. The center of the universe. Where is the center of the universe? Is it over there, near the sun? Is it perhaps off in the stars, hidden in the center of the galaxy, surrounded by light and energy and the enormous heat generated by billions of stars? Or is it somewhere hidden in the middle of nowhere, away and away from everything else, surrounded by nothing more than nothing? Or maybe it is nearer, beside this oak growing alone on top of a 1,000-foot cliff overlooking the sea. And maybe the osprey that rests in the tree overlooking the ocean sits right in the center of the universe and looks out not at the sea, but at everything. But no, it is nearer. Maybe the center of the universe lies right inside my own heart. Maybe it is I who look out at everything. Maybe the osprey and the oak and even the stars circle and seek so desperately for the gem that lies hidden in my own heart, hidden and alone, and I hold the secret. But no, it is even nearer yet. The center of the universe is so near that I cannot ever find it, so near that it cannot even be lost. The center of the universe is so near that wherever I look, wherever I turn my head and search, there it is, there it is. There it is.
So I just wanted to give you a moment to soak that in because this is going to give you a very different experience than that. So prepare your bodies for something completely different. I was kind of lost there for a second.
Suddenly
Thank you so much to the Westside Chorale and our musicians. Good morning. I'm Rick Taylor, and my reflection on the theme of homecoming is called Home is Where. It's actually an imaginary slideshow. You'll have to imagine each slide as I present them. So if you'll all project an imaginary screen in front of you. We all set? The idea of home has become increasingly complicated for me. Home is both past and present, time and place, physical and spiritual, flawed and perfect. Home is where, first slide, please. Here in this attic bedroom, you see a 6-year-old boy and his 3-year-old sister giving life to a village of stuffed animals. It was our 100th of an acre woods. Next slide, please. The siblings again, shown at an Amish barn raising. We had Amish relatives and played on a farm often on weekends. That's me trying to ride a sad old plow horse. And here's an incredibly long table that served everyone 7 sweets and 7 sours for the community homecoming. By the time the prayer finally ended, everyone was very hungry. Next. That rusty blue car is the ancient Renault that my father drove down to Selma in 1965 as part of his involvement in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. I wish I had a picture of the 10-year-old me shaking hands with Dr. King when we were in D.C. for a meeting about a college prep program which my father helped develop. That inspiration has lasted a lifetime, a spiritual center. That's me and my beloved, Ivy, Willian. Wherever she is home. Here we're in Rembau, Malaysia, where she was born, among the palm trees. You'll notice how sweaty I am. The muezzin calls us to prayer before dawn. But I pray in the Buddhist temple with my dear Amma, who slices up mango picked from the back garden for breakfast. And that's me looking miserable at an English department faculty meeting. That thought bubble over my head says, I'm going to stuff my bindle with a few cheese sandwiches, grab my toy poodle, and hop a freight for the great Northwest. was me hopping. That's us in London. I'm in front of the line on the south bank of the Thames, followed by my fellow profs, Will and Andrea, and then 25 college students of all ages. We weren't actually all holding a rope line. I've photoshopped the rope line into the picture. And that's me with Reverend Sarah and the Kensington Unitarians. She called me her American swallow. Always same time next year. Next. Our family home in North Carolina looking like a hurricane swept through it as we prepare to move away. We sold the house and our car and ditched all of our possessions in about 3 days. To the right, you can see the toy poodle sniffing at the airline travel bag, which he won't enter, even though his favorite treat is inside. And this is us as honeymooners again, after almost 30 years, in Seattle's Chinatown International District. That moving box was our dining table. No chairs, no internet. Outside our tiny apartment, the big, beautiful city of Seattle awaited. And this is me under a tent in the church parking lot in West Seattle with the Westside Strummers. It's raining, and we're all masked, and no one knows me from Adam. But we're singing and we're playing together, and probably smiling, although no one can be sure. Oh, and that's me sitting on the bench in the church garden, where I've been singing to the bushes and flowers for a little more than a year now. Thank you for indulging me in my slideshow, my pictures from home.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning again. I haven't had a chance to look at anyone's cards yet, but I know a few that I saw before the service talked about swimming pools, Lake Washington, watering your garden. There's so many ways we experience water. And I feel like here in the Pacific Northwest, we can't really talk about water without talking about rain. And maybe next month or even this month, our seasonal rain will return. But for now, it's dry, so we're going to make a little weather together. Probably some of you have done this exercise, making a thunderstorm together. I will start the movement and move across the room, and you follow and listen. Hopefully it will sound familiar, sound like a thunderstorm that maybe you've heard at some point. I'm going to start over here.
So we're going to sing one of our favorites now, Blue Boat Home, and I invite you all to rise in body or spirit as we sing this. And this is also, I'm going to put a little plug in, not this next Wednesday, but the week after that. We're going to be starting choir rehearsals again for our first, our next time we'll be singing will be the first Sunday in November. So if anyone would like, who has had experience singing, particularly in choirs, please just contact me at music@wsuu.org, and I will start a conversation with you. Here we go.
Feel free to sit down if you want, or you can keep standing for me if you want. That's fine too. Thank you, Scott, Westside Chorale, for bringing our service to an end this week. Deep thanks to everyone who participated in the service. The worship team, Lisa Maynard, the Westside Chorale, John, Larry, our tech team, Ellen Wendlis for these beautiful flowers. Look at these flowers, come on. As always, it is a pleasure and a blessing to do this sacred work together. Members, do look at your Westside Week, which you will have received on Friday, for details about all the activities going on. One in particular is, well, you spoke and we listened. This week we heard from a group that wants weekly online social hour to continue, and our hosts are willing to accommodate. Beginning this Sunday, online social hour will take place either directly after our worship service or at 11:30 a.m. on weeks when we don't have worship. Big gratitude to Ursula and Dijon for continuing to host these important social opportunities. Homecoming continues after the service today. Everyone is invited to gather in joy of our community at in-gathering social celebration in the parking lot immediately after the service. There will be food, I know that my kids' eyes just blew up, coffee, soft drinks, lively conversation, music and singing with the Westside Strummers, kiddo activities, as well as information on upcoming events and volunteer opportunities. Most importantly, we can delight in reconnecting with each other, which you all are really good at. I mean, we had a hard time to bring it down during the greeting portion of our service, so I know you have a lot to share with one another outside. So we'll see you downstairs in just a few moments. Coming up soon at the request, this is a reminder that the Racial Justice Change Team for members to sign up for our beloved community cafe on Sunday, September 18th at 10 a.m. in the social hall. There will be 4 conversation tables, each dedicated to a topic connected to our implementation of the 8th principle: right relations, personal and spiritual growth, actions in the wider community, institutional equity. If you can't attend in person on the 18th, there will be a Zoom gathering on Wednesday, the 21st at 7 p.m. Please register for either of these sessions at the link in the Westside Week. Also, are you concerned about the climate? Let's work together to make a difference. Join the restarted Westside UU Environmental Justice Group. Kickoff call is this Sunday, September 18th from 7:30 to 9. You can contact John Fassett Long at jfawcettlong@gmail.com or 206-226-7941. There's also information, I believe, in the back if you need to gather that information. There's also a bunch of information, so take a look at the Westside Week. Our next service will be on Sunday, September 25th, when our guest speaker will be Reverend Jennifer DeBusque-Olivier, who will bring us insight and images on the theme of living on the edge of ecological renewal. All right. Our closing words are from Elizabeth Lerner McClay. As drops of rain that find each other and build to become a track, a rivulet, a stream, a river, a sea, so are we drawn together. So are we fortunate to find each other. So are we bound together on the shared passage toward an unknown ocean and entity. As Lisa Maynard releases our flame, may you go into this week blessed and blessing the world. We hold you in our love as we go.
Please rise for our five-fold amen.